19th Special Safety Services and Licensing Committee. I'd ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Present.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine, Councilwoman Vargas.
Present.
Councilman Campiano, Council President Paplaskas.
Present.
Okay, thank you. And tonight we only have one item on the docket. It's a Class BV liquor license for La Bandera Bistro. I will ask if the applicant is here tonight. Hi, how are you? And before I allow the applicant to speak, I'll ask if there's any public comment online or in chambers about this application.
No public comment.
Okay, since I'm seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we're now open for discussion. If you could just give your name and address for the record and let us know if you have all your license materials.
My name is Janelle B. Santos. Address is 407 Laurel Hill Avenue in Cranston, Rhode Island, 02920. And I do have the rest of the licenses needed in order to move forward.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the members here tonight? If not, then I have some. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good evening. Congratulations again on being able to this evening, hopefully. Just again, hours of operation.
Hours of operation from Monday to Saturday would be from 12 to 11. And then from Sundays would be from 1 to 11. Mondays, we are not open.
Okay. So 11 PM on the weeknights is there?
Correct.
And no, I know no live entertainment now. Do you plan on coming before us for any sort of entertainment events, anything like that in the future?
No.
Okay. I wish you nothing but the best. The 11 PM is a little, I think that, if you guys are good neighbors, the neighbors aren't have any issues. I haven't received any complaints. I know there was some initial hesitation when La Casa first opened. Obviously, you're a different entity entirely, but they proved themselves to be really good in that neighborhood because it is such a kind of quirky little spot in a residential area. So, I just wish you nothing but the best. I ask that you continue to be a good neighbor in that location. My phone is open. Should anything ever come up, please reach out to me or anyone else on the committee or on the council. I wish you nothing but the best and happy holidays.
The same.
Thank you. And I just want to confirm, so you do have your tip certification, you have the printout. The health department did verify that you are all set there. You just didn't receive the hard copy yet, correct?
I actually have the hard copy.
Oh, you have now. Okay, excellent. So going forward, you do know that anyone else that serves alcohol there has to be tip certified as well. Okay, and if you have any questions before there are problems, I just say, call the clerk's office or like John said, anyone on the council, and best of luck. Thank you so much for going through the process and coming back. I know it was difficult during this time, but we have to try and set a precedent to do everything right. I wish you so much luck. And if you're going to have a grand opening, you can call economic development and they'll arrange for a ribbon cutting. You can bring the newspaper and come on out there to do some promotion. Okay. Anyone else have any comments, questions? No? Okay, then clerk, please take the roll.
Council,
Yes.
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 Okay, we have no further matters on this agenda tonight, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, and we will reconvene at 7 o'clock for the full council meeting. Thank you.
Are we ready? Tom, are you good? All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Monday, December 19th, full Cranston City Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Present.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Here.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present.
Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Campiano, Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Present.
Council President Paplaskas.
President, at this time, I'd ask that you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone. Moving on, I'd like to entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, thank you. I see no public acknowledgements. Oh. You have a public acknowledgement? Councilwoman Renzulli.
Sorry, this isn't completely on the docket because it's a surprise. So I just wanted to say a few words for Council President Paplaskas, as this is his, essentially his last meeting serving from up there. So I'll be brief. The challenges we faced being elected during the COVID pandemic were different in scope and character from those we've seen other elected officials face before. The coronavirus spread quickly around the world, leaving a tragic toll of illness, lost lives, and livelihoods. But as far as local government went, the show had to go on. And most of us were new on this council. So our unanimously elected council president, Chris Paplaskas, was a strong, patient, and empathetic leader. Being a strong leader is challenging, even when things are running smoothly. Ensuring everyone is on the same page, that the work is being done appropriately and team members get the attention and support they need to thrive is not an easy task. When you add in an external complications, like a worldwide pandemic, for instance, things become even more difficult. But I personally think, and I think that you will agree, that Council President Paplaskas always prioritized our health. He made the technology work even when, we weren't doing Zoom. I feel like we've been doing Zoom forever, but that wasn't happening before. I always felt like our health was very important and we were masked when we came in here, but we got all the work done, everything that we had to do, nothing stopped. He's been a bipartisan leader. He's worked on both sides of the aisle. He always answers the phone, communicates, and is transparent. Me personally, he has been a mentor for Safety Services Committee. Chris is the guy that you can call. And if he doesn't know the answer, he always knows who to call, their cell phone number, their office number, and where they live. So I really appreciate his leadership, and I think you all will too. I'm glad that he will continue to serve on the council for his final term as the councilman in Ward 5. As a resident of Ward 5, I've appreciated his leadership there for all his terms. So thank you, Chris, for all you've done. I'm proud to have served with you, and I think the rest of the council will agree. And I just want to present you with a plaque. Paplaskas, City Council President from January 4th, 2021 to January 2nd, 2023, in recognition of his years of dedication, commitment, and service to the City of Cranston and his leadership as the City Council President.
Councilwoman Rizzuti, thank you very much. And thank you for my colleagues. The plaque. I've been practicing my speech. It's only 31 minutes. So, no, I'm just kidding. I'm actually not going to give any remarks now. I have some remarks on the council president communications that I like to make, but we'll get through some business first. And just want to thank you all for the plaque and your kindness and support. So thank you. All right. Any other public acknowledgements and commendations? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing and public comment for docketed matters only. If there's someone here from the public that would like to speak on a docketed matter, now would be the time. Going once, going twice. Mr. Lima, is there anyone on Zoom?
There's no public comment on Zoom.
All right, I will close public comment for docketed matters. Moving on to resolutions, I see none. Next up, we have report of committees, Safety Services and Licensing Committee. Councilwoman Nicole Rizzuti, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Tonight, we have a Class BV liquor license that we will be voting on because it's over the cap. It's for Lon Bandera Bistro LLC. They just appeared before us for coming up several times at our special safety meeting, and they did have all the chip certification as well as the Department of Health has certified that they've been inspected. So this was approved in committee, and I urge passage tonight.
Thank you, Chair.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rizzuti,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes,
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, motion passes. That concludes the work of the Safety Services and Licensing Committee. Thank you, Councilwoman Rizzuti. Moving on to the Finance Committee, Council Vice President Ferry, the floor is yours.
we have two resolutions tonight. First is resolution authorizing real estate tax abatements. This passed in committee. I urge passage tonight.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rizzuti.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, motion passes.
Next is a resolution authorizing motor vehicle tax abatements. This passed in committee. I urge passage tonight.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rizzuti.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes,
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Thank you, Council Vice President Ferry, for the business of the Finance Committee. The floor is still yours for the Public Works Committee.
we have a request from Colbea Enterprises LLC, 2050 Plainfield Pike for a permit for alteration near Historic Cemetery number 18, Fenner, Lawton Lot and Historical Cemetery. They presented this in front of us at the last Public Works Committee, and the committee was satisfied with their report, and it passed in committee. I urge passage tonight.
Thank you. I'll just hand a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rizzuti.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes,
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Next up, we have the Ordinance Committee. I did get a message earlier from Councilman Riley. He's running a few minutes late. So I'd ask Vice Chair Rizzuti to introduce the business.
Thank you. First, we have ordinance and amendment of Title 10, Chapter 32, Section 590 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic. This is Tabor Street, 2-hour parking. It's sponsored by Council President Paplaskas, and this passed in committee, and I urge passage tonight.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next, we have 102201, ordinance and amendment of Title 10, Chapter 32, Section 270 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic. No parking between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. This is sponsored by Council President Paplaskas. It passed in committee and I urge passage tonight.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
And finally, we have 11-22-01, ordinance and amendment of Title 5, Chapter 68 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Business Licenses and Regulation. It's tobacco dealers, sponsored by Councilman Riley. This just brings us back, up to what the state has for being 21 or over to purchase tobacco in the city of Cranston. This was passed in committee and I urge passage tonight.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you, Council President. The only thing I want to mention is that I recognize that this is to bring us into adherence or to mirror what the age limit is for the state law. But I would be remiss if I didn't, remind this body that we did have an or not this term, but last term, we did have an opportunity to pass an ordinance locally that would have raised the age limit to 21 before the state or federal government took action. So in the future, I hope that when we're discussing public health initiatives such as this, that we try and be a little bit more forward thinking, but we should approve this tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, thank you. Next, we have one last report of committees, the Audit Committee, Council Vice President Ferry.
We were scheduled to receive a presentation from Markham with the audit, and they have failed to have it ready for tonight. So Council President Paplaskas and I discussed this today, and we have decided that because we have to have this ready by the end of the year, we're going to have a special meeting next week, which Council President Paplaskas will cover.
Thank you, Vice President. Yeah, so right now we're scheduled to have a meeting on December 29th, Thursday at 6 p.m. The only agenda item will be the audit report from Markham LLP. They needed a little bit more time to get this done before the end of the year. So that's where we're at.
Believe me, none of us want to have
No.
this meeting next week, but we have to have it. And so I guess we would want to move this part of the agenda to the 29th.
Yeah, so we would need a motion to continue the audit report from Markham LLP for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022 to a special council meeting December 29th at 6 p.m. Do we have that?
Motion to continue the audit report for Markham LLP for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022 to a special meeting on December 29th. What time? 6 p.m.?
Second.
6 p.m. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Renzulli.
Thank you. Council Vice President, do you anticipate that they will definitely be done at that time? And is there a penalty if they're not? Or
We
or an
couldn't find
attorney?
anywhere in our charter or in our, that there is a penalty. So that's something we really need to look at next year.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a penalty. We definitely need to look at the contract. You're talking about with Markham. But I'm hopeful. I mean, they were hopeful to have it done today. So it's having some issues in the office, I guess, and getting this report together for us. So I'm sorry. I tried my best to make sure we wouldn't have a meeting next week.
Oh, no, Not you.
No.
I'm not, I wasn't concerned about that. I just meant with our contract.
No, but I just want to make that clear. I did my best to make sure that we wouldn't have a meeting next week, and so did Vice President Ferry. Council Member Marino.
Thank you, Council President. It's due December 30th. Yeah, and last year was on the 30th too. So hopefully they will comply and at least give us an extra day early with all the work that happened with the audit committee and all the
Yeah.
discussions and all the time and effort. So
I have been in touch with them at least 2 or 3 times a month for the last 4 months, so they knew it had to be ready and they just were not able to deliver. So I wish it was in my power to do something about it, but we are basically powerless until he shows up here with it. And it has to be done by the end of the year.
Thank you. Council Member Vargas.
Thank you. Did they provide you, Council President, with any information in terms of at least when we would be able to receive the report the day before? I'm just trying not to get the report the day of.
That's a great point. I did not receive any information. I don't know if the administration did. I know they're
The-
working on it.
And if not, can we definitely follow up on that if possible?
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Through the chair to the council, we will endeavor to get you the report in advance of the 29th meeting, so you can review it prior to the special meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Zadelis, Director Zadelis. Council Member Renzulli.
I think to the president, maybe to the chair, I don't really know who knows the answer to this question, so I don't want to assume. But the council orders this audit, right? But who actually negotiates the contract, just so that we know next time if we have to put anything in making these requests so that they're valid when we ask for
So
them.
It's paid out of our budget, but BOCAP negotiates it. And you can only stay with a certain audit firm for so many years and you're required to switch. So.
Okay, but something like a penalty and requesting a copy X amount of days before the meeting is something that can go in a contract in the future.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Director Moretti.
If I just want to offer a bit of perspective, as you are aware, I used to be the city council auditor, and there were times that we actually went beyond, or the auditors went beyond December 31st. By state statute, the audit report on the financials have to be submitted to the Auditor General by the end of the year. Bob Strom, I recall, would take pride in actually running it down to the Auditor General's office before the 31st, but it would be close to those deadlines. So for it to go to that point, I just want to put in perspective, it's not the first time. There's nothing, let me say, extraordinarily negative going on. It's none of that. And I believe we're having an unqualified report. So just to put your mind at ease, I don't think there's really an issue. Speaking with Mr. Wilkinson last week, Council President and I and Councilman Ferry spoke with him. He thought he would be able to have the results for you in the audit completed. He did indicate today that he's had some illnesses at the firm that's caused the backup and in the delay as a result of it. So I want to pass that along to just put it in perspective that it isn't a completely exceptional situation. And there are some things both in the school department and the city that they get last minute that they have to audit. It's just in the process and how long the timing of when things happen. So I just wanted to just lend that. I know it's an inconvenience, but I also want to just pass that along to say he did indicate that there was a couple of illnesses at the firm that was really putting some pressure on.
Thank you. And I see Budget Analyst DeMayo.
Yeah, just a point of information. Last year, we received a PowerPoint presentation on December 20th. And you received, or we all received on December 30th, an email with the audit report attached, the complete audit that was finalized. So initially last year, we got probably a summary, which we have, and then the report was issued roughly 10 days after that council meeting.
Thank you, Auditor DeMayo. Council Vice President.
I guess I could direct this question to Director Zadelis or Director Moretti. Is it unrealistic for us in the future to look at moving this up a month So if there is a problem, it turns out to be December 15th instead of January 15th. I mean, is it unrealistic to have that as an expectation where we could move up the date a month?
Through the chair, we're in a perfect opportunity to advance the FY 2023 schedule earlier. So that's something, after this, we will go back and schedule that with Markham.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's actually good news. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll. Please take the roll on the continuance.
We're voting to continue.
Continue to the 29th. Thank
Coun-
you.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on, we have public comment for undocketed matters. At this time, I'd like to open up the floor. If there's anybody here from the public that would like to speak on an undocketed matter, come on up. Hit the button on the microphone so the green light comes on. And then just need your name and address for the record and try to limit your comments to 4 minutes or less.
Is it on? Oh, yes, it is.
We can hear you
Yes, can you hear me?
loud and clear.
My name is Nancy Crosby, lifelong Cranston resident. Here to make you aware of a situation at Eden Park Elementary School, a very dangerous situation at Eden Park Elementary School. I have a second grader at Eden Park. As I'm sure you're aware, there's construction going on all around the school. The school is set up kind of like a U. There's 3 streets all around it. And some of the streets are one way during school hours. One street has just been designated just this year, one way only from I don't know, 8 to 9 and 2 to 3. It's chaos. That's the best way to describe it. Parents are driving the wrong way down the one-way street, parking, pulling right up onto the curb where we go in to drop our children off. Along Glen Grove Ave is where the kindergartners, the first grades and the second grades go. I'm sure there are other issues around the school. I'm not privy to those because I'm only, at the second graders. And it amazes me that parents, guardians, drivers can be so reckless. They literally are driving up onto the sidewalk and parking and just waiting for their children to either drop them off or to pick them up. Very narrow over there. We have 2 beautiful oak trees that take up half the parking lot, half the sidewalk in one spot. And then when people are parked on the sidewalk, there's like this much room to walk. So I brought it to the principal, who has sent home maps of the area and advised parents what to do. I have emailed Mr. Fitzgerald, Director of Transportation, who said he handles buses, but was going to send it up to Norma Cole. I've spoken to both Sergeant Needham of Traffic, and he said he was going to contact our SRO, and Paul Ozlowski, Safety Director from Cranston Public Schools. I'm running out of people. I feel like I keep going up the food chain, and the problem is still there. My very first email to the principal was October 21st. And obviously I'm here tonight. I've never done this before, but that's how passionate I am about it. And no one seems to be. I'm not blaming anyone. I feel like this is one of those whose responsibility is it kind of questions. There was another issue. The contractors who are working there have been parking on Glen Grove and Chestnut, and maybe there's 10 trucks. That takes up a lot of room in that area. And I've talked to quite a few people about this. So word must have gotten back to them, because today when I went to school, the contractors were parked way up away from the school. So that freed up quite a few parking spots. When the project first started, they parked at the Budlong Pool. I don't know what happened to that. So they've been parking. I did see 2 vehicles parked at the pool today, and the contractors are actually moved up the hill away from the school. So that's progress. Somebody's talking to someone. So I'm here to ask your help. Someone's gonna get hit. We've had so many near misses. We've had an officer come maybe in the past 3 weeks, maybe 3 days, but it's either at night or it's at drop off or pickup. It's not consistent. And instead of blocking the parents from going down the one way, once they went down the one way, he would put that funny siren on and scare them back. I felt like he wasn't in the right spot. Really, come anytime. You stand on the corner of Glengrove and Chestnut, and it is chaos. And I'm asking for your help. I don't know who handles this. I feel it's like overlapping. And we really need your help. If just come one morning at 8:10 or 2:35 and you will see what I'm talking about. And I just wanted to have this on record in case something does happen. That I'm here, I'm making you all aware. And I'm respectfully asking for your help.
Ms. Crosby, thanks for coming out and for speaking with us. It's not a question and answer session
Right.
for public comment, but I see Director Moretti furiously writing notes on his pad as you were speaking. And for someone who hasn't spoken in the public before the meeting, you did great. So he's actually going to come see you right now, I believe,
Good, because
get some information from you. And
thank you very much.
Director Moretti's the chief of staff for the mayor's office, so thank you. Anyone else here for public comment for undocketed matters? Now would be the time to come up to the podium, and if you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. Is there anyone on Zoom?
There's no public comment.
No public comment on Zoom? Going once for chambers? Going twice? I will close public comment for undocketed matters. Thank you. Moving on to the election and or appointment of city officials. We are 2 appointments to the City Planning Commission. They are council president appointments. There's no vote required. One is a reappointment of Stephen Frias as a member for a term to expire December 19th, 2026. And the next is the appointment of Thomas Barberi as a member for a term to expire December 19th, 2026. I just want to thank both Mr. Frias and Barberi for stepping up to serve our city in that role. Next, we have the Probate Judge Advisory Commission. We have the appointment of Fred C. White Jr. as a member for a term to expire December 19th, 2023, sponsored by Councilwoman Marino. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Moretti, would you mind going out in the hall? Sorry, the acoustics here are. I can hear you guys loud and clear from across the room. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Crosby. All right, so we have the appointment of Fred C. White Jr. as a member for a term to expire December 19th, 2023. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
And we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, motion carries. Next, we have the reappointment of Henry Palazzo as a member for a term to expire December 19th, 2025, sponsored by myself. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Yes.
Vargas,
Yes. Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries. Congratulations, Henry. Thank you for joining us. Okay, who's here? Next, we have a report of city officers. Seeing none. Next, we have executive communications. Are there any questions for the illegal expense analysis? Councilmember Vargas.
Thank you, Council President. I just had a question. It might have been already answered, but just double checking. Can you or someone maybe with your administration or so provide me again reasoning why the legal matter that's coming before us on the invoice for Vinra Costa still has 12/14/21 through April 29 or 22nd. And so as I'm looking at some of these, even though it says date paid, why are we still seeing this if it says it's date paid? Because that one's still the same. Some of them have increased, some of them have decreased, but that one still stays the same from that invoice. And it says it was paid in July. And so are a few other legal law firms as well.
Councilmember, I'll direct that to the administration. I don't know if Solicitor Videcchia can take it or we can wait until Director Moretti comes back in. I don't prepare this report, so I don't know the answer to it. So you want to wait till?
I have no information on this.
All right, so hold on, Harry. Director Moretti, we have a question for you. Take your time. Can
I
you,
didn't know the Director of Finance was heading out. I would have asked.
That's okay. Councilmember Vargas, would you mind asking again? We're on the legal expense report, part of the meeting.
Okay, I might have to follow up. But go right ahead.
No, absolutely. So Director, I was just curious. I know that on the invoice, there are some law firms that say that those legal matters have been paid. Some of them have date paid from this current fiscal year in July and August and so forth. But then there are some whose amount has increased or decreased, just trying to figure out if they were paid already and they've been presented to us at the last meetings for that same amount. Why are they still presented to us right now?
It's probably just because the way I don't know if Anna, who prepares this, I don't know, Anna Marino, knows to take him off. I think she feels it's a cumulative document. But however, I think Councilman Ferry had some questions with it. If you see a better way, which you want, maybe we could define what to include, what not to include, happy to do that, particularly if it's just taking something off, so it's not confusing.
Yeah, so I can only speak for myself and not my other council members, but from my end, I mean, if it's an ongoing issue and where there's still an outstanding balance and it's being paid as we go, if we note that it's been paid, then great, it's been paid and it's coming before us. But whatever invoice has been paid, then I mean, I would assume we approved it at the last meeting, maybe it should fall off and no longer be no longer come before us as a legal expense analysis. I could be wrong, or maybe it should be reworded, but I can speak with you further about that, but I was just curious what the actual balance is.
This, I
today.
believe, is a response to what the council had previously asked for. Again, more than happy to do what you wish. If you like to sit down individually, or maybe if you want to, a couple of you want to, kind of caucus on it and let me
Yeah.
know.
Because otherwise these are paid to date, right? Is that what it is? These are from paid fiscal year to
It should be
date?
the
Is that
legal
what it is?
bills.
That's why they're on there?
It should be the legal bills received to date.
Director, Auditor DeMayo might have some input on that too.
So this initially was there to track the legal expenditures for the year we're in, the fiscal year we're in, just to show the cumulative expenses being paid against the budgetary amount. I think it was former council person John Lanny asked, because I think at the budgetary period, what would happen is they'd budget a number and the expenses were so high, they just wanted to track it monthly meetings, just so they could compare it to what the budget line item was, and that they would have an understanding and it wouldn't be a surprise at year end.
All right, I think I see what you're saying. So this is a paid fiscal year to date and the dates that those invoices have been paid. So, right, this is what this is,
Yeah.
as
And-
we see new ones added on. Okay,
It's for the period. And then I think there's a schedule right after that, that the question had arisen on what we were paying for hourly rates to certain firms to make sure that it was reasonable. I think that's the next page.
that's fine. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, get a refresher, just to make sure I was following this correctly once again, but it doesn't necessarily mean that these legal matters have concluded. They're still ongoing, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Are we good? All right, we'll move on. Thank you very much. Next, we have Council President Communications, and before I speak, Solicitor Angel asked for a moment of time. And Madam Clerk, please note for the record that Councilman Riley is here.
A lawyer who asks for a moment. I don't know, Mr. Videcchia is laughing, so I asked the council president for a minute or two to speak tonight to all of you. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for this past term. It was my first term sitting as your legal counsel. In many of you may or may not know, it bears mentioning again, perhaps, how I got here. I certainly did not know a person in this room. Well, I knew Mr. Videcchia, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I did not know a person in this room. And the council president asked me to come here. He had been exposed to my work as an assistant solicitor in a prior administration. And when I came here, it was apparent to me that 5 of 9 of you were essentially new. I know that Councilwoman Germain had been appointed, but had not been elected in her own right at that point. So she was relatively new. It was, in my view, an extraordinary assemblage of people. 4 women of 9, probably, I'm sure, the first time in the history of this city that 4 of the 9 were women. And in many other ways, ethnically and racially, the most diverse council that this city has seen. I've been around this city for over 20 years, and starting in 2003, when the governor and the auditor general asked me to come here and help with the bailout of Cranston in 2003 as the chair of the Financial Review Board. And I know how difficult it can be to have a board, a commission, and a council that's essentially split. There were 5 Republicans and 4 Democrats at that time. And of course, that changed in the middle of the term, which changed the dynamic a little bit. It's unusual that we have a Democratic vice president and a Republican president. But when Chris asked me to come here, he said, would you like to be our legal counsel? And I said, I would like to go where I'm wanted. But I do have some conditions, and Mr. Videcchia and Mr. Riley and Mrs. Marino as lawyers can certainly imagine that a negotiation with a lawyer does not come without conditions. But it really wasn't a negotiation. I had said that I wanted to be an attorney for each member of the council, and that I wanted to be an attorney for the council as a whole without regard for party affiliation. That was very important to me. He didn't hesitate. I wanted to be able to build relationships with each of you individually, because you work better with people when you get to know them a bit, rather than, when you're just thrown into the mix of something. And I was allowed to do that as well, free of any interference of what was said to who, or what are you working on for this particular council person. And that's truly a credit to Chris. He allowed that to happen. And I can tell you that does not happen in other public forums. And I really thank all of you for being receptive to my outreach and allowing me to build those relationships. It's a credit really to each and every one of you. I had said to Chris when I came here, much like I said to the governor and the auditor general in 2003, I don't come here as the color red, the color blue, the color purple. I come here as black and white. I'm an umpire with a striped shirt and a whistle. And I really believe that. I came to practice law and not politics. And I've been allowed to do that. And it's really quite refreshing, I can tell you. As you can imagine, having built those relationships, the election cycle was really quite, it was not easy to watch. You can't take sides. Having relationships with all of you, I wish you all, certainly at this time of the year and all the year throughout, the very best for you and your families. So I had hoped that the election would turn out the way that you wanted it to. And extraordinarily enough, the people have brought all of you back. with a majority of 5 Democrats and 4 Republicans. You know, my respect for each of you and in the dedication and advocacy that you bring to doing the people's work is profound. I've sat in your seat, albeit many years ago as a young person, much younger person. And I know how difficult that can be to be away from your families. And I see it on the floor of this council. You know, I alluded to the color of the law. You know, blue, red and purple are not colors of the law. The law is black and white and gray in the midst of advocacy, which shrinks the gray and sharpens the black and the white, I can assure you. This group has shown that it sees the law and that it respects it. And even when myself and Mr. Verdecchia provide some not so subtle reminders of the law. So really, I rise and thank you, Mr. President, at this time to express my gratitude for the opportunity to serve and to earn your respect. It really is a very humbling gift, particularly in the climate of the world that we live in today. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the acting clerk, Rose Albazani, who has been terrific. To say that Rose has risen to a number of challenges in the course of the term on a variety of levels is an understatement, and it really is a testament to the extraordinary person that she is. You're very lucky to have her in the clerk's office. She's really quite a resource. And I want to thank John Verdecchia. John and I, many of you don't know, but we met under less than ideal circumstances in another municipality 24 years ago, John? 24 years ago. Myself as a freshman council president, and John as a lawyer for the administration. He was the solicitor. And John and I have talked about this. I hadn't been around John until coming back here as the legal counsel to the council. And I've always had a great deal of respect for John. And I think he probably knows that now, more now than he did before. But it's a pleasure, it has been a pleasure to work with John on behalf of the administration to try to iron some things out for this council. So thank you all very much. I just wanted to give you my thoughts and good wishes. God only knows we've, as a group, I think we've certainly laughed together, we've screamed together, and we've shared some sorrows together over the last couple of years and gotten to know each other very well. So again, thank you for the opportunity to serve. And I would like to say, I think the bridge building exercise that I engaged in a couple of years ago seems to have worked because I have, I believe, the good fortune, I can say, of being invited back by the Democratic majority. And I am very grateful for that opportunity to serve once again in this capacity. So thank you, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you, Solicitor Angel. Told you it'd be 31 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be brief. Last council president communications of the term and my term. First of all, I want to thank Rose, who is our clerk of committees and has stepped up to be the acting city clerk for the entire city. Rose, your ability to multitask is second to none. And I know you have a lot going on every day. We certainly appreciate all your hard work for the entire council, and your institutional knowledge is second to none as well. So Rose, thank you very much. Mr. DeMayo, thank you for everything. Sorry for the late calls. Sorry for all the emails with where's the money, where's the numbers, where are we at, what's going on. Your knowledge has been extremely helpful, and thank you for everything you've done. Tom, we only hear your voice a couple times a meeting, but thanks for making everything streamlined and as easy as possible for this transition to online meetings. I know you've worked with Rose, our dockets, our links, everything has been flawless. So thank you very much. I want to give a thank you to our grant writer, Lisa Andoja. Lisa's brought in $1.5 million over the last 18 months, has about another 2.75 million out there that hopefully we get as a city. So I just want to thank our grant writer. I want to thank our city, so our council solicitor, Mr. Angel. He sat by my side all these meetings. I don't have any scars on my shins, so I want to thank you for not kicking me to hurry up and move along. You've been a wealth of knowledge. You bring your experience from your time in Johnston when you met Mr. John Videcchia when I was 16 years old. So, thank you for everything. It's been a pleasure to work with, and, from stop sign ordinances to roosters to everything else in between. Certainly, thank you. Mr. Videcchia, thanks for staying on and being our solicitor here as well, too. You're Mr. DVR, so thanks. Director Moretti, thank you as well for interrupting me all the time, like you just did a minute ago, and for being here. And to my colleagues on the council, I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to serve as your president. It's been an honor, a dream. Couldn't do it without you, and I wouldn't want it any other way. We bring so much, we come from so many different backgrounds and bring so much different information and, resumes to the table for the city of Cranston. You all deserve to get reelected, and you did. And I'm certainly proud to be your colleague and your friend, and I look forward to serving with you on the next term. That being said, awesome. Ron, you're the man. You're not yelling at me to be quiet. Am I talking too fast? I'm sorry. Ron, thank you very much for everything that you do as well, and Heather in the committees. Thank you to all the committee chairs who stepped up and worked with Rose and got through all the issues that have been tossed at the committees this last 2 years. I know it hasn't been easy. That being said, I also want to thank the residents of Cranston for tuning in, for participating, and for letting us have the opportunity to do what we do. Certainly means a lot. They say you get pulled 10 different directions as council president. You really do. You get pulled 8 different ways with the 8 members of the council, the administration, and the public here in Cranston. So you really get pulled in 10 different directions. That being said, I want to say happy holidays, happy Hanukkah. We had an awesome Santa parade yesterday in the city. That went well. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you all. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Okay, before we go to council member communications, Director Moretti did interrupt me and asked if we could go back to executive communications. He was out in the hallway with a constituent at the time.
Thank you. My pleasure to interrupt you, Council
I
President.
think I know what you're gonna say, because if you forget, I'm gonna say something. 'Cause
I'm going to make it kind of brief. I noticed on the calendar, if you're not aware of it, 5 o'clock tomorrow, there's a menorah lighting ceremony at City Hall. I believe it's done in the first floor at 5 p.m. to celebrate Hanukkah. Certainly, you're invited to attend, and the public's invited to attend. Again, we're just all the nice things, but genuinely would like to thank Chris Paplakis as our council president. His service, something about Chris is his positive attitude, and it's infectious. And I think we've all experienced that, and that's helped us in the administration. And he was a good ambassador, excellent ambassador, from the council in that regard. And his good work, he's so genuine at what he does, his approach, his community involvement, and the way he does touch people, and he touches a lot of lives in the city of Cranston. And it represents his ward superbly. And I thank him for his friendship. I think we can all say that Chris Paplakis is a good man. And I think that speaks the highest for him. In terms of the last couple of years, it's been 2 years that have gone by now that we've worked together. And we look forward certainly to the next 2 years. And just want to admit, I think we all made mistakes, and maybe I'm right at the top. I'll be the first one to admit that. And I just hope I learned, and I hope to do a better job. And I think we have that improvement. And I know you all understood what was happening and where I was coming from, and you had the ultimate respect from you. And I just want to say so much appreciate that to allow me that opportunity to represent the administration and to forgive my indiscretions where they might, and there still might be more, Councilwoman. But I sincerely mean that. I really feel like I've learned a lot in these relationships. And I think the next 2 years, I really look forward to it. And certainly to everyone, certainly happy Hanukkah to everyone, and may everyone have a very blessed and Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Next, we're going on to council member communications. Councilwoman Jermaine, you have a few items on here and floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Before I start with the communication, I want to really commend you. When I was appointed as a Democrat in the council, you voted for me, and I never forget that. And your leadership prove you are a people person, so you really show the bipartisanship that we all need, and you lead with that, and that's something I appreciate. So thank you. We have many topics to discuss this afternoon. It's up to the administration. There is one topic I would like to continue. I have a conversation with Council President Pawaska. So the last topic discussion about sidewalk safety, this one I will ask Silk please to discontinue that one.
We'll put it on the Public Works Committee, the next meeting. Is that okay, Councilwoman?
Yes, let's do that. Let's put the last topic discussion on sidewalk on for Public Works Committee meetings next month. And Director Moretti?
And just to jump in, I think you had some homework, Director Moretti, maybe?
I do.
And if your homework's not done, that you have to do a cannonball in the public. All right?
Yes, so I know it's been busy. If you're ready for the homework, if you want to ask for extensions, I will be very flexible.
Let's see what we can do. I think you can get a little bit of both tonight.
Okay. Okay, so the first one is discussion on, I have many complaints about 18-wheeler trucks going to Norfolk, just close to here. Resident living in the street. It's a resident street where we have children that need to play, and having 18-wheeler truck going through that street is unacceptable. So that's what they told me, and that's why I'm here to make sure we do not have 18-wheeler trucks going to Norfolk. So we have two components in this discussion. So there is one, a homework, and then about feasibility to have a do not block sign at Norfolk Street as well.
Okay, two things. Director Bernardo will have probably this week, if not next week, a no through trucks sign will be posted upon entering Norfolk near Walt's Roast Beef in that area. First opportunity to put it on city property. We cannot allow to do it on any, as I mentioned, any state properties. But first opportunity, we'll be putting up a no through trucking sign. I can certainly speak with police once that's up, and a lot of people don't pay attention to signs, but we could have them do some, checking here and there to increase their awareness in terms of enforcement. So happy to do that. In terms of, we mentioned before about the blocking, signs. The DPW has sent the request over to the state DOT. They have acknowledged receipt of that. But we don't control the schedule for which them to do their studies or evaluations, because they have a lot of requests, but that is in, and Director Bernardo does have time to time speak with them, but we can't necessarily overstay our welcome, but he'll know here and there if there's any, to try to bring it to conclusion. But the city's done its part to pass it along to the state, and they've acknowledged they received that request.
So as I always ask, we will only now keep in following up, right? That's something we can do.
Sure. Again, but we can't, it's indefinite as to, we can't promise you when, because it's kind of out of our control at this point, but happy to follow up.
Thank you. Our next one is about Budlong Pool project. And last time I request we can have share the a PowerPoint, something what we have, and share with us the costs and where we are at the Budlong Pool project.
Sure. We don't think we're at a good point to share publicly that document because it's a work in process. And this, by way of example, you've seen it, I believe some other council people have seen the first design. But we want to make sure we attach the cost to that. It's one of those things where we would hate to dangle a beautiful project and then in terms of affordability or modifications, I think we need to fine tune that more, both in terms of the, if necessary, to the actual drawings themselves and with the scope of the project. And then with those costs, to do it now, I think it's maybe a bit irresponsible to put it out there, and people's hopes might be, expectations might be higher than what we can deliver. So with that, we have the estimated costs are due to be coming in the next couple of weeks or so, certainly sometime in January, time of year, and also trying to get a hold of the vendors. In order to do this, the architect contacts the various vendors, the potential vendors, and get some costs from them to be able to compile those numbers. And between the holidays and basically people not responding as rapidly, it takes a little bit of time. So though the mayor would like to be the first one to put that out there, thinks it's probably more wise if we can hold off on that until we have something a bit more concrete at this time.
Director, we right now, so in a few days, we're gonna be in January. So if we are working on this project to make sure the Budlong Pool is available for the people of Queenston by this coming summer, where we are right now, where we are at this project, what numbers we have, what is the feasibility. Last time we spoke, you talk about the phase 1, phase 2, I understand, but exactly, concretely, where we are at.
We would have a better idea in a few weeks to give you that answer. I would not want to be held to a number, nor to give you a number that's too high or too low. I could take a guess, but it's not going to be it's not meaningful, frankly. As to the summer, that's in danger of getting the pool open for the summer. The architect's been in contact with some of these vendors who provide these services, and what's going on of recent last couple of years, that's going to be a pretty lofty goal that they're indicating, both from a supply end and the contractors to get the work done in the summer. So I'd say that's in question at this point in time, unfortunately.
So concretely, there's not gonna be a pool ready for the summer for the Queenston.
It's very questionable.
Last time we spoke, we know we passed a resolution to use ARPA money for the budget. And we know also there is a grant that was submitted from the federal for the Budlong Pool. So where we are at those projects? So because last time we spoke, you said you have to have the permission from the treasurer's office, something to use the RPA money, and we know we could use the RPA money. Do we have numbers, how much you're going to use from RPA money? And because if it's a matter of money, I think the money is there.
Financially, I could indicate the mayor's intentions. The council certainly would have to weigh in on the council's intentions. But the mayor's intentions is to have the Budlong Pool built in probably even a better format than it has been as soon as possible. That's his commitment. We are working on our capital budget at this time. we anticipate including the Bud Lawn Pool cost in the capital budget as a fallback if there's no other money available to use. That doesn't mean you're going to use it, but to come to the council with it. So we anticipate doing that. As to the ARPA funds, that is certainly a possibility. I think for, further, discussion and acting upon when we get the numbers. Mr. Zidelis was going to confirm that the funds could be used for the pool because it does not fall in the zone for the, that qualifies for CDBG funds. But that is a possibility. And the grants, we have not heard back on any grants, and that's out of our control. So we can't influence that. But as I mentioned, the fallback is putting in the funds in the capital budget if all else fails. That's what we're thinking is the game plan. But I think in a month from now, we'll have a much better idea on costs for up to us to be able to absorb it. And at that time, I think we could collaborate together and just determine what's best. And we could do things off in the office. We don't necessarily, we could have some caucuses to come in, and happy to share whatever we have to work together on that project.
So I feel like we are going in circle right now. So with this project, that's what I feel. And we've been 2 years. Okay, the past 2 years, 2020, 21, 22, the pool were closed. And I think that's what the resident asking. It's crucial. It's a duty to make sure we have the pool available for those who need it. We know this past summer how hot it was. Everywhere we are looking for a cooling place. Imagine if we had the pool available, our elders, our families who do not have the possibility to go to, Narragansett Bay, they will have a place right here to cool off. And that's, for me, it's a priority, it should be a priority. And I don't feel, I know, it's like, it's not only talking, okay? We have to have action. I don't feel we have action here. Still now, we don't have a cost, we don't have any numbers. So I would like to continue this for next month meeting, so.
Councilmember Rizzuli, do you have?
I do have to mention, though, we're not going in circles, it's a straight line. Director Bernardo is taking this extraordinarily seriously. He's doing it as diligently as he can. But certainly we understand if you're doing something at your house, you want to be more demanding and have those answers, but no one is delaying this process. And I think the 9 council people and the mayor are 100% on board together. But I want to reassure you, it's a straight line and it's going as fast as possible. But there's, unfortunately, we can't force things beyond our control. But the architect has been tasked with that. So, but he can't deliver if he doesn't have the feedback from these potential, not potential vendors, but the experts in that area. So I just want to assure you that the mayor is on board to exactly what you're saying.
Councilmember Rizzuli.
Thank you. Director Marty, I appreciate, well, I, for one, I can't speak for everyone, appreciate you not over promising and under delivering. I'd rather you under promise and over deliver in general. So I appreciate you not just throwing something out there that we don't know, but I'm just curious, you can get back to me on this if you have to. Is the architect, you're saying the architect is charged with getting numbers from vendors, but then is each individual part of this project going to have to go out to RFP, or is the architect going to be the main person and then it's going to be subcontracted out for all the individual elements of this project?
Yeah.
And how does that happen if we need to use the capital budget and we don't approve that until for July 1st. So can we legally do that? I know we had issues with the Budlong Pool and the capital budget last time, so I'm just curious.
Typically, the design does come with numbers. And this is not unusual. That person, no matter what project, that person typically would come and give the cost estimate. So that is in process. He did the design first, came and presented a design to see, do you folks like that design? And they've gotten that, basic approval, yes, conceptually. And then the next step is to get the estimates. Otherwise, we're paying him or whoever it is, thousands of dollars to get cost estimates if we didn't even approve it. So that's why we have what's tempting, and that's why we don't like doing this, because of the work in process, because it gets very tempting to put it out there. So once the architect is done, comes back with the numbers, if pending no other changes to that design, then it goes to engineer drawings, which are much more, I'll say the expensive ones. Those are the ones that's every detail and the specifications for the job. Then that goes out to bid. I'd have to speak with Mr. Bernardo, but I believe that'll go up probably for one contractor in terms of that process and not, I don't think that Mr. Bernardo is going to be the general contractor for this. So that's the sequence of it. We'll work out the financing with you. I think everyone's on board, and certainly we'll find a way to not delay that process.
It sounds like we're going in the right direction, Director Moretti. I know how frustrating it can be when you're waiting on numbers. That was the same issue with the Knightsville Park, getting that final drawing, and we didn't really show anything until you knew what it was going to be and how much it was going to cost as well, to not get everyone's hopes up. So I certainly understand that. Councilmember Jermaine?
What I would love to have our next meeting is to have in numbers, at least a timeline for the first phase. So that concretely, something that is concrete, I would like to have. So let's continue this for the next meeting, and we know we have those information, concrete information.
Certainly, believe me, the architect is being pressured to get it done as soon as we can. So if it falls within the timing of the next meeting, certainly, if we don't have it, then we'll address it the next time. But that'll be a goal. I don't know the timing. It's something that I don't know. I don't think the architect at this point can tell you what day of he's gonna have it. He promises it probably by mid-January is what we're told.
So when you have someone, you give a contract to somebody, do you have a deadline for this person, or you just giving it something you say, and the person will tell you whenever they are able to do it or not? Because this is not, I don't think we are asking favor. Or if we're asking a friend, oh, when you have some time, do this for me. Now I will understand, but I don't think we are at that point to say, oh, when you have some time, look at this to go do it for me. But if we are serious on a project we are doing, so we give a job to someone, you have 1, 2, 3, what you do, how to deliver. So that's the point. I cannot understand that one. So we have to agree upon a timeline when you're gonna deliver this. If we're asking this person a favor, okay, but if we're not asking a favor, I think we should have determined when and how, and which process, how long it's gonna take, 3 months, and how to deliver. I know you don't know better than that, right?
We place an awful lot of faith in Director Bernardo. He's probably the best public works director in the state of Rhode Island, given his experience. He's a no-nonsense man. He knows what needs to be done, and he's a very demanding person. The mayor trusts his judgment to ride herd on getting projects done, and particularly this project. He's not micromanaged. We trust him to be able to know from a professional end what to expect and without delay. So to answer your question, there's no favors involved here. in Mr. Bernardo, we trust to do one heck of a job and with a lot of talent behind it.
Director Moretti, thank you. I see Councilmember Donegan's hand up, so you might have a, sorry, I like that. I can kind of combine your names there.
No, no.
It's getting late.
It has happened. Yeah, that was old lacrosse team nickname was Jonigan. Yeah.
Took me 2
Uh,
years to do that.
Bring,
Councilmember Donegan.
what a, oh geez, I had a little bit more hair back then. Would maybe this conversation be best for Public Works Committee rather than the city council docket? Perhaps, Councilwoman, that way, Director Bernardo is available at those meetings. It's probably the best place to,
Plus, it's sooner than the next. full
Exactly.
council meeting.
That's a
So
good
let's
idea.
move back
Yep,
to the-
I open for. So, Mrs. Rose. We're going to add this in the Public Works Committee instead of the next meeting.
And then I think you might have one more item, council member, but I can't remember if it was addressed in or not at the last meeting. The lead water lines.
Yes, this one, that was a homework, Mr. Moetti.
The city does not provide any of those services, nor funds per se. Certainly that they, as the analyst DeMayo explained, just to say it is one of the uses allowed by of ARPA funds, just want to mention that. But I think the use of the ARPA funds has to be looked at things collectively with the council, the most strategic way of utilizing those funds. But I certainly concur with Mr. DeMayo, that is a possibility. But the city doesn't provide those types of services.
Okay, so if, from what you say, if the council agree to use this, some money in the ARPA fund, we can provide some relief to the people who are in need
It's
in this.
sure, that's probably a pretty big chunk of money, I'm guessing. However, I think it's part of a larger discussion of all the use of all the ARPA funds. Because for a whole host of reasons, obviously, we have this, it's a whole nother discussion on ARPA, but you know, we have the stresses caused by the pandemic. We could all be feel philosophically different for the uses of those funds, but I think my suggestion is to defer to that discussion.
Definitely a discussion for a future finance committee meeting, at least in the budget.
Yeah.
So, and I see Councilmember Rizzuli's hand and maybe Councilmember Donegan too.
Thank you. This is maybe a little bit of an outside of this question, but it connects. If you want to take it offline, we can as well, Director Moretti, but I just wanted to say it while it's on my mind. Is there a process in which we ask the state for funding for stuff like this? Because I know that they have a very large surplus and that they probably have built back better money and still ARPA money, and that they have to do with, they have programs that they work with Providence Water to do stuff like this all over. So I don't know if we submit something to them saying, hey, we want to do this in Cranston. We have some money for it. I'm not sure how that process works, but maybe you are.
Nothing has crossed my desk. I'm not aware of any particular formal way. Certainly there's our representatives that have more influence at the State House. If that could be something, is by speaking with our Cranston delegation. But no, in terms of the city, there's no direct channels other than maybe requests from the mayor to the governor or the council to the governor or the assembly. But I would think probably the more impactful way of obtaining funds would be through the legislative process. And I think our delegation might be the right people to address.
Councilmember Donegan and then Councilmember Vargas.
thank you, Council President. I think there are definitely programs available through the infrastructure bank. And I think North Providence is currently has some sort of program going. I actually, last week I spoke with Ricky Carullo from Providence Water to discuss, how a program would kind of work or look like. And, that was just one initial conversation, but it's about for the private side, it's about $4,000 per project. And then when they do the private side, Providence Water also replaces on the public side, but there's like 6,000. It's like, or more, 6,300 or so. I mean, even on the low end, it's to replace all of them would be about over $24 million. If we were to do them all here in Cranston, but there are funding opportunities, whether it's through the infrastructure bank, I think even DEM, through the infrastructure bill that was passed, there is clean water initiatives, that there is federal funding as well out there. Whether or not there's a match required, I'm not sure, but there's definitely opportunities for funds.
So definitely a future discussion, Director DeMayo, Auditor DeMayo.
Yeah, there was some money. I did a little look into this, the last one. So EPA actually put out about $30 million in grants for October to help with this. And then some of the other programs that I researched is that some of the municipalities are doing kind of a 50-50 to reach out to more than just one person and fully fund them. So just using a benchmark for the sake of argument, the job will cost the homeowner $6,000, $5,000. They're matching or giving half because it'll reach twice the amount of people than it would if you just paid for the grant. And there's qualifications and so on and so forth. And then one other program that I researched that was out there is there's actually a lending program where money's put there and it's either done as an interest-free loan and it comes back and then it's attached to the house as a lien. So if the house is sold, it gets repaid. So there are programs, but I'd like to further do some research, but until I get some direction on what the council may want, I just did that ancillary based on the last meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have some discussion going on and I think probably, I don't know, on the part of the administration, but I am thinking about maybe Council Greg and anyone who wants to really get this done, we can write an ordinance or resolutions and then to request that and also look for the grants, because you may not know it, we have a lot of people who are needed. They need the relief, they need the help. So if the money is there, and as I mentioned, for the past 3 months, when I worked in my neighborhood, Ward 2, and I think Council Dunnigan may have it too in Ward 3, Ward 1, when so many houses, when you saw them, you just see the lead. And a resident reached out to me and said that he has to replace his water pipe and that's cost $4,500. And that's a lot of money for people who are just retired and living on their retirement, So I think we need to continue these conversations, and as we gather more information, and I hope the administration will do their part. And as the council, we will work on it as well to make sure we provide those support for the people.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Definitely some good points tonight and discussion for the new year. Councilmember Jermaine, that concludes your council member communications.
I think that's conclude. We continue 1, 2, 3 for the Public Works Committee meetings. So
we're good.
Yes.
Thank you.
And one last thing before I go, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. And also, if you have, a pair of coat or socks, and you can provide. So I am doing a drive, warm clothes for the unhoused people. So it's Wednesday at 50 Wolf Square. Come by and bring something. And also I'm getting some toys as well for the Haitian community, children migrants. I have the requests. if I can make a smile, if you can help to make a smile on a Haitian children face, that would be awesome.
Thank-
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other council member communications? Seeing none. Introduction of new business. Director Moretti, do you have any requests with the introduction of new business?
Yes, we'd like to withdraw proposed ordinance 122201 at this time. And while I'm here, and also withdraw consideration for advice and consent of the Paul McCauley to the Senior Services Director position, please.
Thank you, Director. So that's been withdrawn from the administration. So I'll entertain a motion to send all of the new business to the proper committee minus 12-22-01 and the advice and consent, the mayor's appointment of Paul McCauley as Director of Senior Services.
So
So,
moved.
second,
Second,
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. The next
Motion to adjourn?
city council meeting, regular monthly meeting will be held on January 23rd, 2023. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? There are no opposed. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.